Alright, here's our second example of from 4.3 Riemann sums, and again we have what's called an indefinite integral. Here's our A, here's our B right here, and so again we're going to figure out our delta x, and our delta x is going to be 4 minus 0 over n, or 4 over n, and our c sub I is going to be 0, or A, plus 4n times I, okay, which gives us 4I over n. Okay, and so now we're going to take the limit as n goes to infinity, and I'm going to have 4 times 4I over n minus 4I over n, that quantity squared. There's my function, my heights, times 4 over n. Oops, I forgot my summation symbol. I'm sure people are out there just screaming about that. So there I'm adding up all my areas. And now that gives me the limit as n goes to infinity. The summation of I equals 1 to n of 16I over n minus 16I squared over n squared times 4 over n, and that gives me the limit as n goes to infinity. Summation of I equals 1 to n of 64I over n squared minus 64I squared over n cubed, which means I'm going to have the limit as n goes to infinity, and I'm going to have two summations, 164 over n squared times the summation of I equals 1 to n of I minus 64 over n cubed times the summation of I equals 1 to n of I squared, and I'll take that up here, and that gives me the limit as n goes to infinity of 64 over n squared times n plus 1 over 2 minus 64 over n cubed times n plus 1 times 2n plus 1 all over 6. And I'll be able to simplify right here. And I get 32 times n plus 1 over n minus, and the 64 and the 6 are both even, so I'll have 32 times n plus 1 times 2n plus 1 all over 3n squared. Alright, so I'm going to do this one more time. The limit as n goes to infinity of 32n plus 32 over n minus 32 times 2n squared plus 3n plus 1 all over 3n squared. Now, this is going to be, notice the leading coefficients here. The degrees are the same, so I'm going to get 32 minus. Now, when I distribute this 32, that's going to be 64, and the degrees here are the same, so the leading coefficients will be 64 over 3. So the common denominator is 96 over 3 minus 64 over 3, and I get 32 thirds as my area.